Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I am an arts reporter for Georgia Voice, and I'm also the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ film festival. We have a very special guest today. We have Harvey Guillen. Harvey is part of an amazing ensemble of the film Werewolves Within, which opens in theaters June 25th and is available for rental July 2nd. After a proposed pipeline creates divisions within the small town of Beaverfield and a snowstorm traps its residents inside a local inn, a forest ranger and a postal worker must try to keep the peace and uncover the truth behind a mysterious creature that has been terrorizing the community. This is such a fun movie. I watched it a couple of nights ago. I really enjoyed it. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah, it's a super fun movie.
Yeah. What made you want to be a part of it?
Well, I talked to Josh, the director. We have a mutual
Yeah.
friend, Francesca, who said, "You have to do my friend's film. He's really passionate about it. And he thinks you're great for this role." And then he called me and sold me on it. And once you hear Josh talk about the
Okay.
project that he works on, he's just so passionate. I was like, "Oh, we're in good hands." So that's
Oh,
how
great.
I came to join them. Yeah.
Great. Were you familiar with the video game it was based on?
Not too familiar, no. I mean, I think we've all played a variation of, werewolves in one way or another, whether it be
Yeah.
video game or in person at a party with like, 8 people in the room. So I played the live action and version of that, and I guess we're all playing it every day in society. I guess find
Exactly.
who the wolf is.
Yeah, you mentioned that this is just a really fun movie. It has this amazing ensemble. Everywhere you look, there's this terrific actor. Well, can you talk a little bit about the ensemble you worked with?
Yeah, I mean, this ensemble was incredible. Like, it was just, I keep saying that we all went to, it was like taking all the class clowns from every school and putting them into one comedy camp, where it's like every single person was just hilarious on their own. It was like a channel. Like, it was
Yeah,
one day I'd be like focused on the George channel, and then Sam channel, and then Michaela, and, Sarah Burt. Like, every
yeah,
single person is super talented and so entertaining, and also just a wonderful human being. So we were very, very lucky to have each other.
that's great. Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Yeah, so I play Joaquin, who is a new member to the community with his partner, played by Cheyenne Jackson. So there are a couple of New York millionaires who are self-made. They wanted a simple life, so they left the city behind, but brought some of the style and quirk with them. And they opened a yoga shop in town.
Yeah,
And now we're divided into one side wants to sell the properties and make some money, and the rest who don't care for money because they've now earned it. They don't really see the value in selling the property, don't want to. So we're divided. We're town divided.
okay. Did you know Cheyenne before this?
I didn't know him personally. I was familiar with his work. I think he's super, super talented. And
Yeah,
actually, it was Josh who asked me, "Who do you think should play your husband?" And I was like, "I don't know. We should definitely show that, like, this is a new way of looking at a couple, and with his height, and I'm like shorter and like size and built and everything." I was just like, this would be a really nice moment to share that queer love can look like anything, and it doesn't look like the traditional Hollywood, Adonis and six pack, which is nothing wrong with that, because Cheyenne has that as well. But like the idea that we can see queer couples look like regular human beings, like they could live next door to you and not like off
exactly.
a magazine.
Exactly. I love the tone of this film because obviously, there's a werewolf on the loose, but this is a very funny movie. Can you just talk a little bit about the tone that Josh has with this, of having a little bit of scares and secrets, but really a dark comic straight throughout?
Yeah, he did a fantastic job. I think he's such a great director and communicating with his actors as well. Josh is, comes from a background of performing, but also very, does his work. Like, he just, everything has a reasoning for it. The way that a camera's panning out or zooming in, the way the characters are, the dialect between them. Like, it's just, the rhythm was like set. And once we got that rhythm, we're like, oh, this is great. It's like playing tennis.
Yeah,
And it goes so perfectly well with this film because it's a horror, but it's a comedy, and you usually don't see those
exactly.
to combine at the same time usually. So it was really wonderful to see the final product.
Yeah. What another thing that struck me is that I'm a huge horror fan myself, and a lot of times the queer characters in horror films are really one dimensional, or they're in the film briefly, and they're the first ones to go. But can you talk a little bit about the fact that this couple has a lot of dimensions and quirks? It's just a fascinating twosome.
Yeah, well, that's like what we aspire to
Yeah,
show on the screen, right? Is that we have characters that are multidimensional, they have layers to them, because for so long you see queer characters be one-dimensional, and the
uh,
punching bag or the martyr, or the story doesn't end, on a happy note. It's usually like it's not aspirational living. When you look at the
yeah,
screen and you see a queer character, it's always kind of tragic. So it was nice to have these characters who are thriving, who are living their best life. They are wealthy, and that's okay. They've earned it. They worked really hard, and now they can retire early in a small community and open a yoga studio. So it was nice to show that aspirational living, where that those roles are not necessarily given to the queer character in the storyline, especially in horror, because probably for so long there wasn't that many queer characters in horror, because
yeah,
the monster they're chasing out of the town, it's usually related to people of color, a minority, a queer character. Like, we can all be summed into what they put us into as the monster they're chasing out, and that's the only storyline that we can attach ourselves to, because there's no other storyline presenting us in front of the screen.
exactly. These days there's so much talk about representation. It's very refreshing to see a queer couple here that's played by two out actors. Can you talk about the importance of having gay characters played by gay actors?
It's super important. I think it's for so long it was the other way, that if you're a queer actor, and especially you're out in Hollywood, you would
Yeah,
never be considered for a straight role, or you never be seen as the heartthrob, you never be seen as desirable, because you needed to sell tickets. And then when the roles are coming for queer characters, they're being given to straight actors. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It's like, so which one is it? It's like, are we all playing the same field and everyone's just the right person for the role, or is it going to be a one-sided kind of thing? So I think there's a lot of controversy over that and talk, and I think that it should just be you can't just play one side and not the other, and not have favorites and say that you're not allowed to be part of this team because you're a part of this team. It's just we're all on the same team, we're all actors, and we're all trying to do the best work, but also be fair.
okay, okay. So are you a huge fan of queer horror?
I guess I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan. I just I appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to ask you obviously about season 3 of What We Do in the Shadows. What can you tell us about the new season?
The new season picks up where we left off. So now the secret it's out, the cat is out of the Van Helsing bag. And now we have to deal with the repercussions of that, and what that means for everyone, involved. And we do welcome some new characters. We'll be meeting some sirens.
Okay,
We'll be meeting some new characters, and also old that we may have seen in the past.
sure.
And we'll definitely have visitors from past love relationships between the characters in the household, which may or may not make other cast members or show house members a little bit jealous.
Okay, great. Obviously, 2020 was a year none of us could have anticipated. How did you get through last year, personally and professionally?
Yeah, it's been a year, right? It's
Yeah,
been over a year now. Yeah, it was crazy to think that um, how quickly we have to adapt. And one thing I did realize is that everybody runs to entertainment
mhm,
during a pandemic, during a depression,
sure.
during people run to entertainment. Like, look how quickly went through streaming everything online, because we need an escape. And at the end of the day, the only thing I contribute, I'm not a first responder, but the only thing I could contribute as an artist is content, and create something. And the sooner we got back to work to create that content, because we didn't know when we were going to come out the other side, so the sooner we could do it safely, we were really looking forward to just getting it done and putting it back in the air. For myself, what I created was last year, shortly right after the shutdown happened with the pandemic. We aired our season 2, and unfortunately it was a bad timing, but I felt so bad that we couldn't say hello to our fans all over the world, because usually we do like a con or a meeting or whatnot, and we couldn't do any of that in person. So I created an after show. It's what we do before the shadows. So it's beforetheshadows.com.
Mhm.
And we just interviewed people from the show, guest stars, writers, producers, the head of costume, the head, we can go down a list, or you can just go watch all the episodes. So I did it as a fun thing to do on my Instagram, and then it ballooned into a weekly show.
Oh,
And
great.
so it was every week I had like, Jermaine, Nick Kroll,
Yeah.
Haley Joel Osment, it's just Doug Jones. It's just, the list goes on and on of people that came onto the show and talked about the show and things you may have never known behind the
Yeah.
scenes. And we hope to continue that. It was an idea that we did as a fun, uh, just kind of, well, we're home, what are we doing? Like, might as well create something for the fans. And the response was so great that the fans want it back. So we're
Great.
seeing and working on that now, is making, or seeing if we can make it possible again.
Great. I was looking on IMDb earlier, and it seems like you have a number of projects that are coming in. Can you talk little bit about some of those?
Sure. I'm just finishing up Reacher for Amazon, and that should be coming out
Mhm.
later this year, based on all the books. And this first season is just the first book that we're focusing on, but I get to play a medical examiner
Okay.
named Jasper, and he's from the South and has a Southern accent. So I'm looking forward to everyone to meet Jasper.
Great. Great. All right. Well, the film is Werewolves Within. Again, it opens in theaters June 25th and is available for rental everywhere on July 2nd. Harvey Guillen is part of an amazing ensemble. Harvey, thank you much for joining us today, and thanks for taking your time.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Take care. Thanks so much.